When Rebecca Chen became Phoenix's top luxury real estate agent, clients trusted her to find their dream homes. But when her cocaine addiction and mortgage fraud spiraled into murder, she began killing buyers during private showings and staging break-ins, turning house tours into deadly appointments with no witnesses. Before starting the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Now let's get back to the video. The Arizona desert heat shimmered across Phoenix's exclusive Scottsdale neighborhoods as Rebecca Chen organized property keys and prepared marketing materials for what would become the most dangerous house showing of her 13-year career as the Southwest's most successful luxury real estate agent and property specialist. At 39 years old, Rebecca had established herself as Arizona's premier real estate professional, specializing in multi-million-dollar estates and celebrity properties that attracted wealthy buyers from across the country who valued her expertise in luxury markets and her discretion about high-profile real estate transactions. Rebecca's real estate office occupied a prestigious location in Scottsdale's Fashion Square district, featuring marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and private consultation rooms where clients could review exclusive property portfolios without public scrutiny. Her client roster included tech executives seeking desert retreats, entertainment industry professionals requiring private compounds, and international investors who paid premium commissions for her ability to identify undervalued luxury properties and negotiate complex transactions that involved offshore financing and confidential ownership structures. The walls of Rebecca's office were adorned with awards recognizing her record-breaking sales achievements, photographs of celebrity clients at exclusive property closings, and testimonials from grateful buyers whose dream homes had been secured through her market expertise and negotiation skills. Her credentials included advanced certifications in luxury real estate marketing, specialized training in international property law, and memberships in prestigious real estate organizations that granted access to the most exclusive property listings in the American Southwest. But beneath Rebecca's reputation for real estate excellence lay a dangerous combination of cocaine addiction, mortgage fraud schemes, and systematic murder that had transformed her property showings into deadly traps where threatening buyers and suspicious investigators met their fate in empty luxury homes. "Good afternoon, Rebecca," said Harrison Blackwood, her 3 o'clock appointment, and a 67-year-old pharmaceutical executive whose recent retirement had prompted him to seek a luxury desert estate where he could enjoy privacy and security while managing his extensive investment portfolio. Harrison was worth approximately $45 million from his biotech company sales and had specifically chosen Rebecca because of her reputation for handling discreet transactions and her access to properties that weren't available through public listings. "Good afternoon, Mr. Blackwood," Rebecca replied with the professional sophistication and market expertise that had made her legendary among Phoenix's luxury real estate community, who viewed her as both agent and lifestyle curator, capable of matching wealthy clients with properties that perfectly suited their personal and financial requirements. "I've identified a spectacular desert compound that offers complete privacy and sophisticated security systems, perfect for someone with your need for discretion and your appreciation for architectural excellence. This property requires a private showing due to the current owner's celebrity status." Harrison had become Rebecca's most dangerous client, not because of his demanding property requirements or his substantial budget, but because of his discovery of discrepancies in property documents and his growing suspicions about the mortgage fraud schemes that Rebecca had been using to inflate property values while embezzling funds from real estate transactions. What Harrison didn't know was that Rebecca had been systematically murdering clients during private property showings for over 2 years, using her knowledge of empty luxury homes and her access to isolated properties to eliminate wealthy buyers whose deaths would provide access to their assets through forged contracts and inheritance manipulation. Rebecca's transformation from successful real estate agent to calculating killer had begun 4 years earlier, when her cocaine addiction had escalated from occasional recreational use at celebrity parties to daily dependency that consumed her substantial commissions and forced her into increasingly desperate financial circumstances. Her drug habit had grown to cost over $6,000 per week, while her gambling losses at tribal casinos had accumulated to over $8,000 per week, $100,000 with organized crime figures, demanding immediate payment and threatening violence against her family. Faced with impossible financial demands and credible threats of violence, Rebecca had begun using her real estate expertise to commit mortgage fraud and embezzlement, manipulating property transactions to steal substantial amounts from buyers and sellers while covering her tracks through sophisticated document forgery and offshore banking schemes that delayed detection of her crimes. Her criminal activities had escalated when several wealthy clients had discovered evidence of systematic fraud and had threatened to report her embezzlement to law enforcement and professional licensing boards. Rebecca had murdered her first victim, a prominent businessman who had detected unauthorized transfers from his escrow account, by poisoning his coffee with ricin during a private property showing at an isolated desert estate. The success of her first murder had convinced Rebecca that eliminating threatening clients and suspicious investigators was both necessary for protecting her fraud operation and relatively easy to accomplish, given her access to empty luxury properties where no witnesses would be present to question suspicious deaths. Over the following 2 years, Rebecca had murdered 9 additional individuals using various methods that took advantage of the isolation of luxury properties, her knowledge of clients' financial vulnerabilities, and her ability to stage deaths during private showings where security cameras could be disabled and evidence could be manipulated to appear as break-ins or random criminal activities. Her victims had included Dr. Patricia Williams, a forensic accountant who had been investigating mortgage fraud schemes and whose property showing had ended in fatal electrocution staged as an electrical accident; Jennifer Martinez, a wealthy socialite who had discovered Rebecca's embezzlement activities and whose death had been arranged to appear as a home invasion during a property tour; and David Foster, a federal financial investigator who had been tracking real estate fraud operations and whose property showing had resulted in fatal poisoning disguised as a heart attack brought on by desert heat exposure. Rebecca, I need to discuss some serious concerns about suspicious deaths during property showings and reports of mortgage fraud connected to your real estate transactions, said Detective Lisa Rodriguez of the Phoenix Police Department's Financial Crimes Division, as she entered Rebecca's office carrying a warrant to inspect her records and to interview her about suspicious activities. Detective Rodriguez specialized in investigating real estate fraud and had developed expertise in recognizing patterns of property crime that exploited luxury real estate markets and wealthy buyers' trust in professional agents. Detective Rodriguez's investigation represented an existential threat to Rebecca's criminal operation, as her law enforcement expertise and access to financial crime databases could expose the systematic mortgage fraud and connect her to multiple suspicious deaths during property showings. Of course, Detective Rodriguez, Rebecca replied, though she felt the familiar surge of anxiety and fury that accompanied any official scrutiny of her real estate activities by law enforcement officers who possessed the training and resources to detect evidence of mortgage fraud and systematic murder disguised as property-related accidents or random crimes. Client safety and transaction integrity are always my highest priorities, and I want to cooperate with any investigation that might help protect buyers and sellers from criminal activities or fraudulent real estate practices. Detective Rodriguez consulted detailed reports from mortgage fraud investigations and suspicious death reports that showed patterns of financial irregularities and suspicious timing that suggested systematic criminal activity rather than isolated fraud incidents or coincidental deaths during property viewings. Rebecca, I've been investigating reports of mortgage fraud and embezzlement involving several of your real estate transactions, and I've also identified suspicious deaths that have occurred during private property showings you were conducting, Detective Rodriguez said with the investigative precision that had made her successful in solving complex financial crime cases. 10 individuals who were clients of your real estate business have died under suspicious circumstances during property showings, with several of these deaths occurring immediately after the victims had discovered financial irregularities or had threatened to report suspected fraud to regulatory authorities. The detective's identification of the fraud patterns and her recognition of the timing correlation between financial investigations and client deaths confirmed Rebecca's worst fears that her criminal activities had been analyzed and connected to her systematic elimination of threatening clients and potential witnesses to her embezzlement schemes. Rebecca's response was swift and deadly, as she realized that eliminating Detective Rodriguez was essential for protecting her criminal enterprise and preventing exposure of her systematic mortgage fraud and murder spree. Detective Rodriguez, I think there may be some misunderstanding about the inherent risks of showing luxury properties in isolated locations and the unfortunate coincidences that can affect clients who are dealing with complex financial stress related to major real estate investments, Rebecca said while discreetly reaching for a modified keychain device that contained a spring-loaded mechanism for injecting concentrated fentanyl through a disguised key fob. Perhaps we could discuss these concerns at one of the properties in question, where I can demonstrate the security procedures that might explain these tragic incidents. Luxury real estate often involves remote locations that can pose unexpected safety risks despite proper precautions and professional protocols. Detective Rodriguez agreed to examine one of the properties where suspicious deaths had occurred, not realizing that the real estate agent was leading her to an isolated luxury estate where previous murders had been committed and where Rebecca planned to poison her using the modified keychain that would deliver the fentanyl through what would appear to be an accidental puncture during routine key handling. Rebecca's plan involved convincing Detective Rodriguez to examine specific property features while explaining security procedures, then using her modified keychain to create a small puncture wound that would deliver the fentanyl directly into the detective's bloodstream, causing rapid respiratory depression that would appear to be a heart attack brought on by the stress of investigating complex financial crimes in desert heat. But Rebecca's carefully planned murder of the detective was about to be prevented by the unexpected arrival of federal agents who had been investigating mortgage fraud networks and had identified connections to her real estate business. Special Agent Michael Torres of the FBI's Mortgage Fraud Division had been conducting a comprehensive investigation into systematic mortgage fraud and embezzlement operations that exploited luxury real estate markets to commit large-scale financial crimes against wealthy buyers and sellers. Agent Torres specialized in investigating real estate fraud schemes and had developed expertise in tracking criminal networks that used legitimate real estate businesses to commit systematic fraud while eliminating potential witnesses. The federal investigation had been initiated by reports from multiple financial institutions and regulatory agencies who had noticed unusual patterns of mortgage fraud and suspicious deaths that suggested organized criminal activity involving luxury real estate transactions and professional agents who had access to wealthy clients and isolated properties. Agent Torres had been conducting surveillance of Rebecca's operations and had documented evidence of systematic mortgage fraud, client elimination, and suspicious property showings that suggested her real estate expertise was being used for organized criminal activity rather than legitimate property transactions. "Rebecca Chen, I'm Special Agent Torres with the FBI," he announced as he entered the isolated luxury estate where Rebecca was preparing to murder Detective Rodriguez. "I have federal warrants for your arrest on charges of mortgage fraud, systematic embezzlement, conspiracy to commit murder, and multiple counts of first-degree murder related to your exploitation of real estate clients for financial fraud and elimination of potential witnesses." Rebecca's reaction to the federal agent's intervention was a combination of professional desperation and attempts to maintain her real estate authority, as she realized that law enforcement agencies at multiple levels had been investigating her mortgage fraud activities and had connected them to systematic client murders. Her carefully maintained reputation as a luxury real estate expert had failed to protect her from comprehensive investigation by agencies with expertise in financial crimes and mortgage fraud. Special Agent Torres, there must be some serious misunderstanding about legitimate real estate transactions and the complex financial structures required for luxury property investments and international client services, Rebecca said frantically, while abandoning her plan to poison Detective Rodriguez and attempting to preserve some semblance of professional credibility, despite the overwhelming evidence against her criminal activities. I am a licensed real estate professional with 13 years of experience facilitating luxury property transactions for Phoenix's most prominent business leaders and international investors. All of my real estate activities comply with established industry standards and regulatory requirements designed to protect buyers and sellers while ensuring transaction integrity. Detective Rodriguez looked absolutely shocked as she realized how close she had come to being murdered by the real estate agent she had been investigating for mortgage fraud. Her financial crimes investigation had not only exposed Rebecca's systematic fraud and murder operation, but it also prevented her own death at the hands of a killer who had been using property showings to eliminate clients and law enforcement threats. The comprehensive investigation that followed Rebecca's arrest revealed the full scope of her criminal enterprise and the sophisticated methods she had developed to exploit real estate expertise for systematic fraud and murder. Forensic analysis of Rebecca's business records revealed extensive evidence of her mortgage fraud operations, including sophisticated software for manipulating loan documents, detailed records showing coordination between property showings and client elimination, and financial accounts containing millions of dollars stolen from real estate transactions. Her computer systems contained forged contracts, fraudulent mortgage applications, and detailed profiles of wealthy clients who had been targeted for financial exploitation and murder. The investigation also uncovered Rebecca's connections to organized crime figures who had been using her real estate business to launder money and eliminate potential witnesses to their financial crimes. Her criminal network included corrupt mortgage brokers who had facilitated fraudulent loans and dishonest appraisers who had inflated property values to support embezzlement schemes. Most disturbing was the discovery of Rebecca's detailed knowledge of luxury property security systems and her development of increasingly sophisticated methods for disabling surveillance equipment and staging deaths to appear as random crimes or accidents rather than targeted murders during property showings. Rebecca Chen was ultimately convicted of 10 counts of first-degree murder, systematic mortgage fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy to commit organized criminal enterprise activities, and numerous other charges related to her exploitation of real estate clients for financial fraud and elimination of potential witnesses. The conviction sent unprecedented shockwaves throughout Phoenix's luxury real estate community, prompting immediate reforms in agent licensing, mortgage fraud prevention, and client protection protocols designed to protect wealthy buyers from exploitation by trusted real estate professionals. Several other real estate agents and mortgage professionals were investigated for similar criminal activities, resulting in enhanced oversight of luxury real estate transactions and new requirements for financial documentation and ongoing monitoring that made it more difficult for criminals to exploit real estate services for systematic fraud and murder. Detective Rodriguez and Special Agent Torres received recognition for their collaborative investigation and became specialists in real estate crime investigation, developing new techniques for identifying mortgage fraud operations and protecting clients from exploitation by criminal real estate professionals. Harrison Blackwood and other surviving clients required extensive financial auditing and psychological counseling to overcome the trauma of learning that their trusted real estate agent had been systematically defrauding them while planning to murder clients who discovered her criminal activities. The real estate industry implemented comprehensive new safety protocols designed to protect clients from exploitation by unethical agents. The case prompted comprehensive changes in real estate regulation, including mandatory background checks for all real estate agents, enhanced oversight of luxury property transactions, real-time monitoring of mortgage documentation, and new reporting procedures for suspicious real estate activities involving client financial exploitation. Rebecca's conviction also led to increased cooperation between real estate licensing boards and law enforcement agencies investigating mortgage fraud, with new protocols designed to identify agents who might be exploiting their client relationships for systematic financial crimes while eliminating potential witnesses to their activities. The real estate and broader financial services industries implemented revolutionary new safety measures, including enhanced security protocols for property showings, comprehensive client protection programs, mandatory reporting of suspicious financial activities, and improved training for recognizing signs of mortgage fraud and client endangerment in real estate settings. 5 years after Rebecca's conviction and life imprisonment, Phoenix's luxury real estate community continued to implement safeguards designed to protect clients from agents who might abuse their positions of trust and property access for criminal purposes. The real estate agent who had promised to help clients find their dream homes had instead used her market expertise in property access to commit systematic mortgage fraud and murder while turning private showings into deadly traps for unsuspecting buyers. However, her crimes had been thoroughly exposed and her victims had found justice through the dedication of investigators who refused to accept property-related deaths as mere coincidences. Rebecca Chen's last showing had closed permanently with her own imprisonment, as she faced life sentences without possibility of parole, proving that even real estate professionals who attempted to exploit their market expertise for criminal gain could be identified, investigated, and brought to justice when dedicated law enforcement agencies worked together to protect innocent clients from predatory agents. The real estate agent's last showing had ended with the final sale of her freedom, serving as a lasting reminder that those entrusted with helping others find homes must never abuse that trust, and that real estate professionals who would exploit their property access to harm the very clients they promised to serve will ultimately face the full consequences of their betrayal of professional integrity and public trust. Thank you very much for listening. Please let us know what you think of this story in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any other videos.